Pleasure
Declare your
doing
soul or be
business.
turned away. Lyra didn't blink. Her palms were cut from the climb up the basalt stairs. Smoke curled from the border torches. Behind her, the line of petitioners held their breath. In front of her, a desk carved from salt. A dozen clerks in gray, and perched above them, the customs god of Threshold Gate, smiling like a knife. She slid the velvet pouch across the salt. Payment. The lead clerk sniffed. Coin only, or approved vows. Memories are prohibited by Rule 1. Rule 1 is a suggestion, the god said, amused. Let her speak. The clerk gulped. Papers shook. Stamps clacked. Sir, the forms faint, Lyra said and loosened the cord. The pouch opened on its own, as if eager. Light spilled out. It smelled like pine, summer rain, cinnamon bread, childhood. Every clerk in gray swayed. One toppled backward with a soft thud. Another slid down the wall with the sound of a broom. A chorus of gasps. Pens clattered like hail. The god's grin widened. Memories fresh-baked. And expensive. Laura's throat tightened. Let me through. Now, what will you purchase? His voice was velvet, then iron. Passage alone? Passage with cargo? Passage with a name you should not carry? She glanced at the bundle under her coat. It was the size of a bread loaf. It breathed. My brother. He's asleep. The border eats sleepers. It eats the loud, the proud, the forgetful, the god said. His eyes warmed, then went distant. And those who think they can cheat. A clerk whispered, Rule 2, do not bargain with what you cannot lose. Lyra felt that rule like a knife in her ribs. She remembered a hut in the black pines. A mother's hands. A lullaby woven with warnings. Never trade your first memory. Never trade your true name. Never trade the warm day by the lake, because without it you won't know what you're fighting for. I pay with 4, Lyra said, voice steady. The day at the floodgate when father laughed. The snow-cracked night when we learned to trap. The color of the field when it burned. And the taste of the last apple after winter. The clerks moaned. One fanned herself with a ledger. Someone whispered, bureaucrats fainting. Of course. Another stamped the air, then stamped his own hand. The god reached down. His fingers were gold and coal. He tapped the pouch and drew out a ribbon of light. It writhed, a small living thing. Your father's laugh, he said. It has edges. It cuts me. He winced, then smiled. Good, do it, Lyra said. The bundle under her coat stirred. She pressed it close. The god rolled the memories between his fingers like coins. They chimed. With each chime, Lyra felt something slip. A soft chair in her mind fell away. A window went dark. She wobbled, caught herself on the desk. Heat rose in her face, shame and fear mixing, and under it all iron. Pleasure doing business, the god said. He stamped her wrist with a mark that pulsed once, cold. A path of light unrolled behind him. The gate groaned. Beyond, the other city breathed in fog and neon. Her brother's life clung to her coat in quick, thin breaths. Lyra stepped. The torches leaned toward her like listening heads. Wait, the god said. He was still smiling. A receipt. A clerk held up a thin sheet of slate covered in gold writing. Audit in 50 years. Or sooner if the Office of Mythic Trade requests. Audit? Lyra asked. Everything you give must be tallied, the god said. Even bargains with gods answered to bigger rooms. She didn't like the way his eyes held her. She didn't like the way the mark on her wrist cooled the sweat on her skin. But the gate's light pulled. She took another step. Behind her, the fainted clerks began to stir like fish in a net. One peered up and blanched. Sir Hercule? The god looked down. His smile flickered. Interesting, he murmured. Your mark is not ours. Lyra stared. The cold crest on her wrist had changed. The lines were not clean. They were braided like hair. Old woman's braid. Her mother's, she swallowed. Open the way. The god opened it with a careless flick. She crossed the threshold in 3 quick strides, head down, heart loud. Fog kissed her face. Noise, rose markets, bells, a song she didn't know. She found a shadowed alley and set the bundle down. Her brother's eyes blinked under the cloth. "Jory," she whispered. "Wake." He didn't. The boarder had taken too much. He was breathing, but shallow. She felt for the little tin of river sugar. Gone. She'd traded it at the third checkpoint for a rumor. She set down her pack. Hands shook. She pressed her forehead to the cool brick to steady her breath, a sound like a coin spinning on stone. Lyra turned. The god stood in the alley's mouth, too large and too close. The torches bent toward him, wanting. "I let you cross," she snapped. "We're square." "Square?" He laughed softly. "The audit began when you were 7. You just noticed today?" Her mouth dried. "What do you mean?" "The twist, little smuggler." He lifted 2 fingers. Between them, a thin pale thread stretched from her wrist to his thumb. It hummed. "You didn't pay with memories. You paid with anchors. Pieces that hold yourself in place?" "I knew that," she said, but it came out thin. "Did you know which one mattered?" He tugged the thread. Lyra's breath hitched. A hole opened inside her. Cold wind blew through it. The world shifted left, then right. She staggered. The alley tilted. "What did you take?" She whispered. He leaned in. "The night by the lake? The one where your mother taught you your true name?" Lyra touched the braid mark on her wrist. It was ice. "No, you took the apple." "I took the lesson wrapped inside the apple," he said gently. "And now your name is loose like a lantern with no glass." She thought of the forbidden's rules. Never trade your true name. Never speak it at a gate. Never let a god see your terror. Jor stirred, a small sound, a bird in a jar. Lyra forced air into her lungs. "You did this to hunt me?" "To find you," he corrected, almost kind. "They will smell it. The hounds of policy. The ones behind the bigger rooms. They'll come to return you to the ledger." "I won't go," she said. "You will fight." He sounded pleased. "And you will lose. Then you will bargain better than anyone. You will sit where I sit. The prophecy's dull, but our clerks keep it filed." She stared at him. "Prophecies are lazy." "True." He stepped back as the alley wind shifted. Bells began to ring, far then near. A sound like metal feet on stone. They still happen. Lyra stood, legs steady now. She unwrapped her brother's face. He blinked at the light. His lips cracked. "Lyra." "I'm here," she said. She picked him up. He was too light. She faced the god. "Give it back? What?" "My mother's lesson." He tilted his head. Then he grinned wider than a door. "Earn it." The bells were close now. The hounds rounded the corner, armor like filing cabinets, eyes burning like red seals. The god's shadow stepped aside. Lyra pressed her brother to her chest and looked at the mark that braided cold on her skin. She didn't remember the word it hid, but she remembered the feeling in the hut, candlelight, a warm bowl. A voice saying, "Keep this safe." She took a breath that felt like a promise and tore off the velvet pouch, flinging the last ribbon of light into the street. The hounds paused, nostrils flaring. She spoke the wrong name on purpose. The alley shook. The god's grin vanished. Something in the fog answered from far. "Far beyond the gate? Want the next piece of this world? Tap follow and don't blink."